All right, you're still listening to Inspiration FM 92.3. My name is Stanley Uche. Joining me in the studio this morning is Mr. Deji. And of course, this is Rethinking Lagos show. Everything about moving Lagos forward. That's what we talk about on the show every Saturday morning around 9:30. All right, so with that said, let's get straight to it. Good morning, Mr. Deji.
Good morning, Stan.
Yeah.
Nice to be here again.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. I mean, it's written, right?
Yeah.
So what's going on? What are we talking about today?
Okay, today we're talking about mobility, from the mobility in the city of Lagos, from the perspective of a non-motorized mobility.
Okay.
In the city, that sounds a bit.
Yeah, so let's break it down now.
We'll break it down.
Let's break it down.
But I have a very good friend of mine in the house here who's going to be doing all the breaking down. Just give us some few minutes. Olamide, it's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. Good morning.
Olamide Udoma-Ejorh she's an urban activist, a researcher, writer, and artist. She holds degrees in BSc Architecture, MA Design, MPhil Infrastructure Development. She's currently involved in governance and social issues within the urban environment of Lagos. She's also an advocate for sustainable transportation and social engagement with street spaces. She is the founding director of the Lagos Urban Network. You had a name change of recently.
We did. It's Lagos Urban Development Initiative.
Lagos Urban Development Initiative. So I'm trying to catch up. It's nice to have you here, Olamide. So today we're talking about transportation, which is something very, very big on the minds of a whole lot of Lagosians. But we're looking at it from the perspective of non-motorized transportation. Now, the NMT, which is also called the NMT, is a transport agenda that was set by LAMATA, that is the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, in 2017 as part of a transportation solution to work hand in hand with public transport as a sustainable transport solution, also as a means of curbing congestion and reducing environmental pollution. So, enough of grammar.
Yes, let's get straight to it.
So basically, I think the policy, she will explain more. The policy is aimed at making Lagos a more walkable state.
A more walkable state, you say?
Yeah, more pedestrianized.
Which means making Lagos trekkable.
Yeah, trekkable and bikeable.
Bikeable as well.
So where this comes in, just as a matter of introduction, is the fact that, Lagos, the population is increasing every day. The road network may not be able to meet up with the increasing population. In fact, before Olamide speaks, just let me put this in perspective. Facts. In 2015, is on record that 85% of daily passenger traffic happens on our inner roads were done by walking and by informal and semi-formal modes of motorcycles, tricycles, and minibuses. Formal public transportation with higher capacity buses were responsible for just only 1%. So, walking in Lagos as a means of transportation and combining Okadas and within that short distance, you actually have that recording 85%.
So we were saying that in other words, more people walk.
Yeah, more people
to work than taking the regular.
Yeah. I think Olamide should come in at this point.
Yeah, so I think it's not that more people walk. We all walk a distance. So even if you're going to go and get an Okada, even if you're going to go and get a keke or a Danfo bus, you're still going to walk from your house to where you're going to pick up to a bus stop. So the fact is that there is some part of walking in everyone's commute.
Okay.
So we have to start thinking about how do we make that transition, that walking part, safe, secure, and easy for people to do.
Okay.
I mean, if we think about the city right now, was it 2 Fridays ago? The traffic was insane. People were in traffic for a ridiculous amount of time.
Not just 2 Fridays ago.
Okay, every day. Every day.
When it rains, basically.
Every day, really. Especially in some places. I mean, if you're going to Apapa now, you're going to be in traffic.
See, if you're going to go to Ajah right now,
exactly.
It's terrible.
Exactly. So we have to start thinking about how do we make our public transport work? then how do we get onto that public transport? It's a transition. So whether it's biking, whether it's walking, obviously biking is a bit faster than walking, but not everyone can cycle.
Yeah.
So at least let's start with walking. Let's make sure that our sidewalks are done properly. Let's make sure that, they're secure. No one is going to be knocking anybody over. Right now, we're sharing the road with cars. We're sharing the road with downfall buses. We're sharing the road with Okadas. So we need to change this kind of thinking. And when we think about walking and cycling, we need to start thinking to the future.
Okay.
Because climate change is real. We need to start thinking, how do we make our transportation system sustainable? So you mentioned the NMT policy. The NMT policy was done by Lamata with the help of external organizations, international organizations. And the NMT policy actually talks about how roads should be designed.
Okay.
And from what I understood, Ministry of Works is supposed to take that on board and start any new road is supposed to be designed that way. However, we haven't really seen that. I think there's only one road at the moment in Ikoyi and one in Ikeja that has a proper walkway and cycle lane, and then road space for cars.
Okay, so slow down. You say walkway, cycle way as well?
Yes.
And cars as well?
Yes.
So let's say, let's take a look at this, the road that leading to Ajah. From VI to Ajah.
Yes.
We don't have that presently.
No.
So what do we have right now as we speak?
So right now, what we really have is just the road for the cars.
Okay.
That's all we have. And then we have some spaces where maybe they covers the gutter. So, people walk on that space. But that's pretty much what you have. And then some places are not even tied. Some roads are not even tied at the moment. So how can you then expect to have walkway? To have, it just right now it's a bit of a mess. But I think when we're thinking about new roads, we have to design this way.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to ask?
So I just wanted you to maybe emphasize more on the need for us to stop our every reliance on the use of private cars. You had mentioned climate change, because I think that's the rethinking point in itself. You understand? People believe that we have the popular thinking, a status symbol. Cars as we see in this part of the world, we see cars as status symbol. What do you have to say to that? Over reliance on the use of cars for transportation.
So, if you just think about, for example, safety and then climate change, and maybe climate change is not real to some people, but it is real because the fact that we have flooding, the fact that we have, temperature rise, the fact that we have the seawall moving back around, Goshen and things like that, climate change is real. So we can't say, climate change doesn't affect us. It affects us every day. So we have to start rethinking the way we think about the road space and how we move from A to B. If we can change that orientation, even if it's part of your journey, no one is saying drop your car and never use it. No one is saying only take public transport. But the best way to really get rid of cars on the road and get rid of congestion, because congestion is a real problem, traffic.
Yeah.
If we're trying to get rid of traffic, the real way to do it is not to build more roads, because
reduce the number of cars on the road.
Yeah. If you build more roads, you get more cars, you get more people on those roads. What you need to do is change your mindset. We as a people need to change our mindset and think, no, if we're taking a short distance trip, why do we need to get in our cars for that trip?
Okay.
Let's walk, let's cycle, let's take public transport. Obviously, the government has a role to play. They need to provide better public transport. They need to provide better infrastructure for walkways. But we ourselves need to take some responsibility as well.
Now, do you think this will even work in Nigeria? Well, you just said that you see a wealthy man, he owns like 5-6 cars parked in his house. And if he wants to leave in the evening, he'll go with one. Then maybe in there at night, he's driving another one and all of that. Do you think we can have that understanding here in Nigeria that we don't really need our cars to move around? But someone also asks that, look, I'm going to work every morning. I need my car to take me to work. I need to board a bus to take me to work. So how do we change that? Do you think now we should now start living closer to our workplaces? Or what can we do to achieve this?
So that's our responsibility, but it's also the government's responsibility. Now you're talking about urban planning.
Yes.
Actually, about how do we make sure that we live closer to our workplace, to our areas of, commute, to our areas of where we have families and things like that. In good urban planning, that's the ideal situation. Obviously, we have a sprawling city, which means that we are just getting wider and wider and wider. People are working in Ikorodu, living in Ikorodu, working on Lagos Island or working in VI. it's not sustainable. But that's why if we can have a good public transport system, there is really no need to sit in traffic for 2, 3, 4 hours. If you can take a cycle to the boat stop, to the ferry jetty stop, get on the ferry, get to your other end.
Take a
get a bike, because there are all these new shared bikes, our bikes, the different organizations, different companies. Get a bike, get to your office, 5-10 minutes, and that journey is so much shorter, so much better for the environment, so much better for your mental health, so much better for your family engagements. You're not leaving your house 4 or 5 hours earlier than you're supposed to. You are more effective in the office. The economy grows. I mean, just such a long benefits. There's so many benefits you can get from that. So if we can change our mindset, government also changes their mindset, starts making sure the infrastructure.
I think this happened in China once when they stopped using cars and they started using bikes because of the pollution and all that. And we see the same thing now in Lagos. No, even in River State where they have this suit. I don't know if you read that suit and everything. People covering their faces now with this masks and all that, and talking about the combustion from cars and everything. So I think we're getting there. It's scary, but we're getting there. So how can you talk to people and say, leave your cars at home, take a walk? Can we achieve it in Nigeria? That's number one question.
With the necessary infrastructural development, which is what the NMT policy enables. Is that so by law? So when you're doing design, you understand the infrastructure is there. So I believe that when people know that there is this conveniently from my house, I can walk down to a BRT bus stop, then they will be able to catch up with that. Okay. But of great concern to me is that now since 2017, you've been part of this policy. What's the status right now? Are we close to getting it passed at the House of Assembly or what?
So the policy is still a draft. It still sits on somebody's desk, unfortunately. But what's happened is the Ministry of Transport has put it all together into a transport policy. So earlier this year, they did a draft policy. It was actually put to the public. They had a public kind of awareness campaign. People came, gave their input, and then they created this new transport policy. However, I think the transport policy doesn't tackle the nitty-gritty of how to make it happen.
Okay.
The transport policy is very high level. We need more walking spaces. We need more this. We need more that. But it doesn't actually show, like, for example, drawings of what a road. Yes, exactly. Or even what a road should look like. How much space should be for cars? How much space should be for cycling? How much space should be for walking? How much space should be for market women that want to sell on the road? That's how detailed the NMT policy is. Wow. But the transport policy is not, because obviously it's transportation. It's just with the whole spectrum from air transport to walking, road, to everything, the whole spectrum of that. So it doesn't really have all that detail. So I think there needs to be a little bit of tweaking so that it's a clear path of how we're going to get there.
Yeah, you talked about design. What we have presently right now in Lagos, design. I just talked about the road from maybe VI to Ajah and everything. You say that's just for cars.
Yeah.
Can we restructure that now to fit into this plan?
Of course we can. And what we are really focusing right now is on not even trying to say let's change infrastructure. Let's just try and move some of the cars off the road.
Hold that thought. Do you think it's possible to move cars away from our roads presently as we speak? Let's have your thoughts about this. 0700 923 923 923. That's 0700 923 923 923. It's all about promoting walking in Lagos or making Lagos walkable or trekkable. Do you think we can achieve that? What do you think we can do, or what do you think the government can do to make this a reality? That's what we're talking about here. So if you have anything to tell us, let us know. 0700 923 923 923.
I'll also ask that question this way. Is it possible for us to begin to imagine some streets of Lagos actually shut down for just people to walk? You can't move your cars into
or even bikes around those areas.
So I think it's very possible, and this is why I think it's possible. So where I live in Ikeja, And there's some streets in Ikeja, I think on Sunday mornings or some days anyway, where children play football. And we all know they play football on those days. We don't drive on those roads.
So we just decided that don't drive on Sundays because
on
kids
this
play
road.
football.
Yes, because these kids take over this road and play football. So, I mean, already we are doing it.
There's a mindset.
Subconsciously. So if we just make it a permanent thing, like, okay, on Sundays or Saturdays, this road is a market day.
No driving.
No driving on this road.
Let's take this. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Bagada. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Rethinking Lagos show. Let's have your thoughts.
So we're looking at a sustainable way of movement.
Yes.
Around and late, and then we're thinking we want to encourage people to walk.
Yes.
To use bicycles and stay away from vehicles so as to reduce the greenhouse effect and the impact on the ecosystem. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yes.
But I think the most of the responsibility to achieve this will fall on the government, basically. And the government will need to lay down principles and policies, be able to also enforce it for something that can be meaningful for us to achieve it and to have it done meaningfully. Now, I hear one of the guest speakers talking about shutting down a particular street or area and having people work for that period, and then there won't be any vehicle activity. It may be a tough one because vehicle activities doesn't just concern people wanting to just move from one point to the other. But of course, there are other services that are very, very important that needs to be done via vehicular means. So it may be tough to shut it down like 100%, no vehicle moving around. But I think it could be a starting point to just have some high-level sensitization.
Okay.
Have people being, sensitized orientation on the need to use, bicycles and to also use their legs to walk, because we are typically lazy around here. You have people who want to just go to the next street and then
they're driving their cars
or to buy groceries. Then you have to use your vehicle. You go in the vehicle and you drive down, just down the road. You want to buy something and you have to drive down while you can actually walk down. So all of these things are cumulative. We have so many factors, so many things, so many incidences. So my thought or my suggestion is the government need to champion this cause, and that's the only way we'll be able to move on.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
the
your
government, they need to champion this cause.
Yeah. A quick one. You're presently on a project on Lagos Island.
Yeah.
So there are these streets, these communities, Campus Square area.
Yes.
The roads are so small, but the vehicular activity that is going on around there, it can only be left to your imagination the health impact that this probably has on the people. The road, they're just very, very small streets, and you have vehicular activity on a high note, and you just see people's their houses, the door to their house is just next to the road. So and you've been working in this area. What are you trying to achieve? What does this look like?
So from what we've always spoken about the policies.
Yeah.
So that's from the government angle. Now we're trying to really focus on the community and trying to show them that this is not normal. This is not the norm. We can actually change it to something that benefits them. And the issue with Lagos Island isn't just about moving traffic, but also...
Let's take this. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Your radio set is too loud. Turn it down. Right. It's still too loud. I can hear myself.
Okay.
Rule number 1, turn it down.
Let me turn it down.
Yes, please do that.
Okay.
Better now. Go ahead, talk to us.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Step away from the radio completely.
I know you say fine in Mexico.
Okay.
What I'm going to say in this area is that it will look very difficult for in Lagos here. Most expect to like Lagos here, it will look very difficult. But the problem is that can they
So you're not helping us here. You need to turn down your radio set or switch it off. All right? Can you do that for us? All right, maybe when you're ready to do that, just call us back. Just what you need to do when you call in, turn down the volume on your radio set so we can have a decent conversation so we don't get that annoying call back. Thank you very much for understanding. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying that in Lagos Island, the issue is not always the moving traffic. In some streets, people just come, park their cars, go to their office, leave their cars there all day. This takes space away from a road, which means that cars now who are moving are having to it becomes a one-way street, basically.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, brother. I'm calling from Supply Town.
Go ahead, talk to us then.
Yeah, I actually understand the program, but at this present time of Nigeria development, it will be very difficult to achieve because you are asking me not to use my motor to drive down the road to buy one thing or the other, whereby there's flood all over the road. If I have to walk down, that means I will with dirty waters. So how is it possible for me to do that? Many people love to walk. Like me, I have a bicycle, but I can't use it. I actually bought my bicycle about €1,000, but I can't use it here because there's no place to use it. If I try to bring it outside, I'm having a high level of risk because of other vehicle users, road users.
And they'll just splash your water and just drive. Yeah.
Yes, so we have to start from getting the government to do the needful. It's only in Nigeria that you see government will do road without breaking out a pedestrian and a cycle way.
Or even drainages sometimes.
Yes. Other places there must be for bicycle, there must be for pedestrians. Do you understand? So government should do the needful. Then many of us like to do that. But the environment does not permit such.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's take this other one. Hello, good morning. Oh, we lost that one. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, when you're ready to talk, you can call us back. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you calling from?
Okay. I'm calling from Lagos, Deji.
And your name?
Okay, I'm fine.
All right, go ahead.
I was the last caller who tried to call.
Okay, go ahead now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Better.
Yes.
I said, especially in Lagos here, we need good roads. Even if those roads that are very tiny, they are spoiled. We need a very wide road and flyover with some drainage. Let our drainage be empty. Let it be empty from those dirty, because dirty also costs us the in Lagos here.
All right, thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. All right, he is talking about cleaning up the drainages and all that. We need good roads as well. So
yeah, I totally agree with all the speakers. I think there is, as I said, there is a responsibility from the government side, but there's also responsibility from our side. And it's like the chicken and egg, right? Who comes first? So is it that we start working? Is it that we start working, then the government changes the infrastructure? Is it that the government changes the infrastructure, then we start working?
Yeah.
And the thing is, they will never change anything until they see the pressure. They will not change. They will not start building better roads until they see the pressure of people saying we need better infrastructure.
Yeah.
So if we can, even if you don't want to work, at least shout about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a strong case for advocacy here. It is not an advocacy saying that we should start working and government abandons the provision of necessary infrastructure. It's also just lays credence to the fact that we need better infrastructure. But it's also not, you are not saying better road infrastructure, not necessarily for us to be able to get more cars, but rather also we thinking and considering the future first, before considering the future, then by walking, by cycling in our community. Olamide, I wish you the best. We are in it together.
Yes, exactly. We're all in it together. We're all negotiations
together. So it's a discussion that continues. You can join us on Twitter. You can send your opinion at Rethinking CI. It's open, and it's also about we getting it right. Thank you very much. Olamide, thanks for coming.
We'll get to do this again same time next week. Enjoy the rest of your day.